Member for Guelph.
Good morning, Speaker. My question is for the Premier. Yesterday's FAO report shows that the government's failure to reduce climate pollution will stick it to taxpayers. $6 billion this decade and $116 billion this century in extra cost to buildings alone due to climate-fueled extreme weather. Just look at what's happening in British Columbia, economic and infrastructure devastation. So today we're debating a mini-budget that fails to invest in climate solutions and adaptation. Instead, the government is spending tens of billions of dollars on new highways that will cause more congestion, more pollution, and more flood risk. Speaker, will the Premier tell the people of Ontario why the government is not protecting taxpayers from the cost of the climate disasters that are getting more costly each and every year?
To respond for the government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I completely disagree with the member opposite. Whilst I do appreciate his passion on the file, we're focused on actually getting things done when it comes to the environment. Mr. Speaker, he talks about the highways that we're building, very important pieces of infrastructure to get the economy moving, get people moving, Mr. Speaker. That's the type of thing that helps us pay for the close to $30 billion in subways that are being built in Toronto and into York Region, Mr. Speaker. That's the type of investment that helps us build two-way all-day GO trains to as far away as London, Mr. Speaker. It helps us pay for the eventual electrification of the system, Mr. Speaker. So when you look at what we are doing, we are putting investments in place that will help us, yes, build the economy, because building the economy is important to having the resources that you need to tackle environmental problems across the province, Mr. Speaker, and that's exactly what we're doing.
The supplementary question.
Speaker, let's be straight with the people of Ontario. 2 years ago, in December of 2019, the Auditor General put forward a scathing report on the government's so-called climate plan. The minister at the time said, "We have," and I quote, "we have an evolving plan." And he promised to make updates to the plan in response to the Auditor General. So now we are 2 years later in another scathing Auditor General's report, and still no updated plan to meet the government's weak pollution targets. The government's actually making things worse, ramping up gas plants that will increase climate pollution by 300%, building Highway 413, which will increase climate pollution by 17.4 million megatons. Speaker, we have to be honest with the people of Ontario about the costs and risks we face. So will the Premier tell Ontarians when he will put forward an evolved climate plan that follows science, answers the Auditor General's criticism, and shows Ontarians how we can cut climate pollution in half by 2030?
Government House Leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, it is a very multifaceted approach that we're taking. Not only are we building transit and transportation because we know how important it is, not only are we investing in roads so that people can get around and we can build our economy, but it was a progressive Conservative government started under Robarts, continued under Bill Davis, that continued under Harris, continued under Eves, that invested in nuclear technology, the CANDU reactor, Mr. Speaker. And when you look at our competitors around the world, the primary source of their the greenhouse gas emissions, Mr. Speaker, is dirty energy. Ontario leads the way thanks to a progressive Conservative government, and just last week, the Minister of Energy announced the next version, the small modular reactors, Mr. Speaker, which will ensure Ontario access to clean energy. And not only are we going to save that technology for the people of the province of Ontario, Speaker, we are going to export that technology around the world, because Ontario can do that, and Ontario can play a role in cleaning up other people's environment like we have done.